Scott Bessent announced, he said, oof, okay, it's giving me chills. Because if you guys listen to him talk, you're like, okay, get to the point. But if you read his written statements, you're like, holy crap, this guy's a super villain. Okay, so he says, at dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. Nations that, in courting reprieve from Tehran, continue to replenish the very regime from which they seek protection and now exceed the limits of America's tolerance. That's their Persian Gulf Arab countries. Any remaining tie to Tehran will hasten the economic ostracism of countries and entities, whether that tie be purposely constructed or willfully ignored. I hope that means secondary sanctions. And if, as the regime's grasp on power crumbles alongside its economy, Iran resorts to military action against US forces or its Gulf neighbors, make no mistake, President Trump will respond swiftly and decisively. Everything I just said was, quote, word for word, what he just said 2 hours ago.
Wow.
At dawn begins an economic D-Day. There you go, Hamid.
It needs. I hope there's China is involved in that economic D-Day. I hope China is involved. I hope they're going after Chinese company, not just the teacup refineries, but the big ones and the banks, the big Chinese banks, and the financial institution. Hopefully, if not, it's not going to be complete.
Yeah. I mean, quick response, by the way. If financial collapse occurs, the people will come out in the streets. Whether you're a regime supporter or not, you're going to come out in the streets. And then also, Armin, you're right. Not only China, though. So there was three main culprits for the IRGC. There was UAE, Turkey, and China. These are the three countries that are the lifelines of the IRGC. The UAE is finally dealt with completely. China is going to be heavily targeted along with Turkey here. These are the main targets, in my opinion. And Turkey has some incentive. They got some F-35 deals coming up. Maybe they don't want to get on the bad side of Donald Trump here.
But the problem is that China is the hardest one to do because they use systems that is not controlled by United States, right? Turkey, Iraq, Pakistan, all of these countries, at the end of the day, the financial institutions they use, this goes with the SWIFT system, they're using US dollars. There are both the currency and the transfers of money are within the sphere of control of the United States, right? It's
Yeah.
only China that has some level of trade in non-US currency to the level and also uses some financial mechanisms like wiring transfers that is outside of the SWIFT system that makes it more difficult for United States to just come out and try to stop things, right? And the only way to get them to stop, because they have the system, they have the financial institution, the wiring mechanism, and the non-USD trade to go around what the United States wants to do. The only way for United States to stop the Chinese transactions is to actually threaten sanctions against companies that have been too big for the United States to go after so far. And that requires a daring move by United States, because there will be a major reaction to that could also hurt the US economy if they go that far. But they have to go that far for this to be complete.
That's secondary sanctions. That's what I'm looking for tomorrow. Like, imagine if you bought, if you're a merchant in the Persian Gulf and you're Bahraini, and you just bought some goods, a shipment from the UAE, and you ask the UAE merchant, yo, where did you buy these TVs? And the UAE merchant goes, Oman. I bought it from Oman. I'm an Omani merchant. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So you buy them. And then you get slapped with sanctions the day afterwards. Why? Because the US was tracking it. And when you sold these now new TVs, you, the Bahraini, to another country, turns out those TVs came from Iran. You had no idea, but you're now slapped with sanctions. Those are secondary sanctions. Those are how they work. Chinese banks are going to get slammed if that's the case. Also, it'll be up to you to do your due diligence to find out where those goods came from and who you're giving them to, lest you get sanctioned. That might be what Scott Bessent is referring to here. I really hope it's the case. If that's the case, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate somehow tomorrow.
Or me just saying Pooh Bear won't be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I mean, Pooh Bear could, Xi Jinping could lessen his support. He could accept this, which is inevitable. He could accept it and have the pain be shorter for him.
True.
Also, yes, guys, those are London banks too. A lot of London money laundering does occur in London for the IRGC. Definite fact. Singapore, Hong Kong, London, you name it.
No, I mean, I think those banks are terrified of the United States. I don't think those banks are much more risk averse. Singapore, London, they do more deals with the United States than do with the Islamic Republic. They don't want to touch the Islamic Republic.
Correct. Exactly. That's why they're going to stop their operations.
Yes. There's so much more money to be made with the United States and the Islamic Republic. So the only reason, so here's the thing, if the United States puts pressures even Chinese banks and big refineries to stop dealing with the Islamic Republic, they don't care. They would want to stop immediately, right? Because those banks are dealing, they have a lot more deals with the United States and US allies than the Islamic Republic. They would stop immediately if the United States tells them to. The only problem is that the CCP would then get angry. Those financial institutions and those refineries, they just want to make money. They don't care about the Islamic Republic. So it's not the companies themselves that are the issue. It's the fact that the CCP has a lot of control over these companies, and these companies have to be worried about what the CCP wants from them and how the CCP is now going to react to this, to the America, not the companies themselves. The companies, their goal is to make more money without making the CCP angry, because the CCP has control over Chinese companies.
Let's see what the CCP says. I mean, this week they got to release some sort of statement. These things are instant. I cannot wait to wake up tomorrow and find out what has happened. Oh, hold up. Did Scott Bessent? When is this post from? Well, this was 20 minutes ago. Hold up. Let's pull this up real quick. I haven't read what he just said, but Scott Bessent just posted on X. Okay, let's see. President Trump dismantled Iran's military capabilities, destroyed nearly 100% of the factories, nuclear program. We are now entering the end game. At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. Okay, he said that to the Financial Times 2 hours ago. He's repeating on an X. The Islamic Republic has subsisted by extortion. Yeah, so getting extortion from security guarantees. He's going after the Persian Gulf Arab countries here. He's actually throwing them a bit of shade here. The president has created the conditions to leverage every agency, every authority and action many assumed we would never summon. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone. Oh, chills. Oof. All right, well, let's see what he does. Let's see what he does here. If he lives up to his words, and I do think he will. He's not someone who will just, spout a bunch of useless words. He really does put his actions behind them. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. I think I already know the title for tomorrow's video. All right. Thank you, Scotty B. Yeah, Jaywalk said, Scotty B is the new Captain America. That's good. We're going to call him that from now on. And Curtis West, who has renewed their membership. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
choosing to stay with us. And Fun Sun says, make Europe great again.
Yes, make Europe great again.
Thank you, Fun Sun. And Sayed, thank you for the jewels. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Sayed.
Casey Pierce, who said, praise be to Bessent.
Praise be to Bessent. Yes.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.